All right, this is the beginning of our textbook, History Alive, the Medieval World. So we're going to start with Unit 1. That makes sense, doesn't it? So always at the beginning, I want you to look at pictures. And of course, we will be working on generating questions from things that we see and talk about. Europe during medieval times, chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Setting the stage. Now I'm going to zoom in on this because I want you to be able to read it as well as I. Europe during medieval times. We will begin our study of the medieval world with the continent of Europe. Our study of this region will include England, the continent of Europe, and the Byzantine Empire, which straddled Europe and Asia. Europe is bounded by seas and oceans and threaded with rivers. During medieval times, these waterways allowed people to travel more easily through Europe, but they also made settlements along coastal areas vulnerable to attack by invaders. Mountain ranges like the Pyrenees, Alps, and Carpathian Mountains helped protect settlements, but also acted as barriers to travel and trade. The period of time we call medieval began with the fall of Rome, of the Roman Empire, and lasted until about 1450 CE. CE means Common Era, and BCE means before Common Era. Toward the end of this period, many Europeans felt that they were living in a time of dramatic change. They began referring to the centuries since the fall of Rome as the Middle Ages. We still use this term today. Historians divide the European Middle Ages into three periods. Early Middle Ages, from about 476 to 1000 current era, or CE, Common Era. 2. High Middle Ages, from about 1000 to 1300 CE. And Late Middle Ages, from about 1300 to 1450 CE. Alrighty, so take a look at the map and see some of the things that they've talked about and some that they haven't. We've got the Pyrenees Mountains, which separate France and Spain. We have the Carpathian Mountains over here in the east. And at the top of Italy, we have the Alps. Also the Atlantic Oceans, Mediterranean Sea, the Black Sea over here, Baltic, North Sea. Then we'll learn about the Holy Roman Empire, Papal States, and the Byzantine Empire. The early Middle Ages began after the fall of the Roman Empire in the West. The Roman Empire had unified Europe. After the empire ended, Western Europe fell into chaos. People spoke different languages and could not communicate as easily. Fewer travelers braved the ruined roads. Force became the law of the land. In the east, however, the Byzantine Empire survived Rome's fall. By the start of the High Middle Ages, about 1000 CE, life had become more stable. Many separate European kingdoms, such as England, France, the Papal States, and the Holy Roman Empire, had formed in the West. During the High Middle Ages, most people in Western Europe lived in the countryside under an economic and political system called feudalism. Under feudalism, a king, sometimes a queen, ruled the kingdom. The king granted land to nobles in exchange for military service. Peasants worked the land for the nobles. The late Middle Ages were a time of transition. Trade between the West and the East flourished once more, as it had under the Roman Empire. As a consequence, people in Western Europe began moving from the countryside into towns. This led to many other changes. Let's start our exploration of the Middle Ages with a close look at the Roman Empire. Excuse me. Why did it fall? What influences did it have on Western civilization? All right, climate zones. So we've got this up here. This is considered Northern Europe pretty much. Green, which is humid oceanic. So it means it gets rain coming off the oceans. Down here where it's red, it's called subtropical dry summer. This is a climate that California has. Hot and dry in the summer, and our rainy time is in the winter where it's mostly cool. All right, we've got the highlands here, a little bit there, which is the Alps. And then the yellow is humid continental. So that means that the air masses and the weather comes from continental parts of the world, not off the ocean. And way over here, we have semi-arid. So it's a little bit deserty. Not a lot, just semi. Alrighty, so that is the introduction to Unit 1, setting the stage. So let me bring you back here, and I think I'll bring you back to this picture before I end this video. And that is all for now.